What's up, Gage of Chaos? I just sat down with Sylvia Hubbard and had an amazing interview. It was so inspiring. Like, I can't wait to go and write right now because she was, oh my God, I can't wait for you to see this interview. It was amazing. Make sure you go to the Gage of Chaos Facebook page because there's going to be an exclusive part of this interview that's only going to be there. And in that part, she gives this amazing advice on how to make things easier for your readers to find you. And it was incredible. She has such an awesome story. She was so inspiring. She lit a fire under me, and I can't wait for you guys to see this interview because I know she's going to light a fire under you too. So make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure that you go to that Facebook page. All the links will be in the description of this video. And thank you guys again for being here. Love you all, and enjoy the show. What's up, Agents of Chaos? We are here with Sylvia Hubbard. She's written over 50 books, right?
Yeah.
She has 2 Kindle Vellas. Both have been in the top 250, which for those of you who aren't on Kindle Vella, that is a real challenge because your readers are only given 1 crown a week. So if you got 2 stories in the top 250, you are killing it. She does a lot of speaking events. She helps other writers. She's doing all sorts of cool things, and we're going to talk about all of that today. To get started, though, I always like to ask my guests how they got started in writing, and I found the answer to that question on your website, and I want to read this quote because I love it so much. How did you get started writing? According to my mother, it's been as long as I could lie to her.
Right. Definitely.
I love that.
It was my first workshop and someone asked me that question and I was all ready to say, okay, when I was 12, la la la. And my mother was in the back of the room and she was like, no, that's not true, Sylvia. And she like interrupted the whole thing and told them the whole story about how I used to lie to her all the time. And she would give me a whooping and then I would have to go write the lie down as the punishment after the whooping and then come and read it off to her, and then I would get a second whooping because what she was teaching me was 2 things. One was storytelling, because you first put down the foundation and then you build on that foundation as you are intertwining how to make the lie bigger. And the second was human interaction. It's like, it's not the lie that hurts people, it's the energy and time and weight you put into that lie. So she taught me how to build character and all of that. So I stopped lying, which, I don't have a lot of friends now. But ever since then, she said I would just write down all the stories that were in my head. She would have to buy tons and tons of notebooks all the time because that's all I wanted to do was write. So
that's amazing.
My pain became my pleasure. Definitely. So thanks, Mom. Thanks.
So when did you turn writing in notebooks into publishing?
It was the Y2K bug.
Okay.
I got overwhelmed with life. And then when 1999 hit, like that fear started, ingraining in me, like, oh my God, we could actually die or go into the apocalypse, seriously? And I hadn't written a book. So I was like, you know what, let me just try. And during that time, that's when was the print on demand just started popping up everywhere. And then I was like, okay, let me finish writing a book, because I would get to that point in the story, where it would be like, okay, you knew what was going to happen at the end, and then you would stop. You're like, okay, I don't need to write this book anymore. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write it. I'm going to write it all the way to the end. I don't care how awful it is. I don't care what happens. I'm just going to write it. And then there came this offer from Ex Libris. Remember that company? And they were like, send your book to us and we'll publish it for free. And I'm like, okay, let me just see what's going to happen. I sent it to them. I forgot all about it. And 4 weeks later, a book showed up on my doorstep. And I felt like, a stork dropped something off. Like, oh my God, I'm an author. It was already up on distribution channels and everything, and I didn't know nothing. I had no idea what I was doing, but I kind of, that was kind of like my mistake was kind of a blessing, because I learned the hard part of self-publishing before I learned, how to publish and really write a book. I learned about marketing. Like I had jumped into the pool of it. And so, yeah, I learned how to do that real fast, especially back then because ebooks were, I mean, I remember a New York Times best-selling author telling me back then, no one's going to read a book off of a tablet or a phone. That is so ridiculous. Because I couldn't, yeah, like I said, I was a single mom, so I couldn't afford my books, and it was so costly to buy our books. So I would have to like say, "Oh yeah, go get an ebook," and I would tell everybody, "Just go get an ebook." I'd be at events with one book, be like, "No, I'm not selling this book, but if you go on my website and click a link," and people would think I was crazy. Like, why are you pushing this ebook? And that's how I would just start doing it. It's just telling people go to get an ebook, and then like, yeah, then people started coming to me like, "Oh, you know a little bit about ebooks?" And I'm like, yeah. So I was trying to hawk them for like 4 years when nobody wanted to do it. So yes, definitely. So that's how my journey began, and it's been going. And I have to say that one mistake has kept me kind of ahead of the curve in terms of technology, in terms of, knowing things before everybody else. So it's been really, it's been a fun mistake.
See, there's so many things, parts of that I want to dissect. But the first is just that you were in this situation where you couldn't even afford your own books.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot of new authors out there who they go on these websites and they read about, you need to get a professional website, and you need to get your email, and you need to get professional covers, and you need to get professional editors. And it scares people away. I think a lot of people,
Mhm.
especially, and I think that there's like almost like a privilege gap there where, yeah, if you got money to spend, it's going to be easier to start your journey, and that's true.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be that way. That you can just write and publish and get there.
Right. And I try to educate people because I did have to make a choice between, government wants you to feed your kids or you go to jail or something. I don't know. But then you're like sitting there like, I want to sell books, but I can't buy my books. I gotta provide for my family, or I gotta put my dream away. So how can I do both? And no one really tells you how to do that. And you just sit and suffer, like, and you see all these other authors or your author friends are just, shooting across the United States, going to book fairs, and, they're doing all this stuff because they got tons and tons of books to sell. And no one really tells you how to manage that or do anything about that. And that's what I had to learn. I had 3 mouths to feed, and I was a single mom making $8, $9 an hour, as living in a one-bedroom home, catching a bus, and I'm living in Detroit. So that's you just, you talk about bankrupt city already. we were we were already under the bucket. We wasn't even the bucket to even claw at the bottom. So so we were just like, okay, how can I do this? And it was a little at a time. Just, you just got to do that little at a time. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit and find out how to do this website by myself. I'm going to do this little bit and have at least 10 books on hand. I can do those little things to build a strong foundation and then be able to say, okay, I am out here. I am an author. I can get these events and stuff. Sometimes you just have to volunteer at those big events instead of, being having a featured table or something. But, you can do it. So I never tell anyone you can't. You can. Trust me. I'm a testament. I'm a testament to that.
I love that. I love that. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting when you started talking about that was that, how the Y2K bug, put in your mind, like, I've always wanted to do this, and who knows what could happen tomorrow. Um,
Right.
and I feel that I relate to that one a little bit too, because, it was like the pandemic isn't over, but, people kind of considered it over, and,
Right.
and everyone's like, well, we got to get back to our lives now. And, and I was like, I'm 42 years old, and I've been working my butt off and not spending time with my family for somebody
Hmm.
else's dream. And like, now I have a little bit of an opportunity to work for my own. Um,
Right.
and so I'm going to take
Let's see
it.
where this goes. Yeah, you can't go when I guess when it's the human spirit. When you can't fail. When you're at the bottom, when you are at the bottom and you're just looking up, you're like, okay, let's see what works. Let's see what bricks I can put in place to climb this wall. And you just you just keep going for the goal. You keep looking at the light, like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I kind of hated that I started late. And that was like, I mean, I was 30 at the time, but I mean, it felt like I started late. And then I had all these obstacles, with the kids, being a single mom, not making enough money. When I could have started at 24, I would have been like, whatever, I'd have flew across the world at that point. But, sometimes I always say, um, the rain doesn't come until the clouds are full and it's ready to hit the earth. So you just gotta wait and be in that moment. And when it comes and it starts to rain, and get your umbrella out, and hopefully you're prepared to endure the storm. So I'm glad I was. I
Love
think I was, but I was gonna make it.
it.
Even
But
if I
it also
wasn't, I
seems
was
like
gonna do it.
you started at a great time, though. Maybe not in your life, but in terms of where publishing was heading at that
It
point.
was. I think it was at that turning point where it was literally at that turning point when traditional authors were starting to not be able to be as powerful as they thought they were. But then it was that birth of the self-publisher, and I got a chance to, I am so grateful that I got a chance to meet um Mr. Pointer, because he wrote the Bible to self-publishing back then. And I mean, he would have these brunches whenever he would come in town. You could go up to his hotel room and just pick his brain about like self-publishing, about marketing, distributing. And it was just a wonderful time to be a self-published author. It was hard. I mean, these
Oh,
self-publishers today have no idea
yeah.
about the
Oh,
crying,
I'm sure.
blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, they have it so easy. It's kind of like the your younger sisters, and you're like, what? Mom just put you on 10-minute punishments. What about the beating I got? Like, it was hard back then because you were blacklisted because you were self-publisher. You were blackballed, blacklisted. You were literally shunned if you were a self-publisher. Like, oh, you're not good enough to get, Simon and Schuster. You're not good enough to somebody else publish your work. But it was that time, and I'm so glad I was there at the birth of it, and to see how it's progressed is just amazing. To say how we took over the marketplace, to say that we started making decisions, to say that we can control our readers. You have the power. You're no longer having to wait on Barnes and Nobles to put your book on a shelf anymore. That is a powerful thing to say, coming from where we came from. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'm glad I did start when I started. It was a pain in the butt, but like I said, I'm coming out of it.
So between that time and now, now we're both on you're on Vella, and you've written 50 books, right?
Yes, over 50. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that journey. So you started off, you had one book at your table, and you're pushing people to ebooks.
Yeah.
When did it become? When did you hit a place where you felt like, all right, this is my full-time job now. This is where I can put all of my energy.
It was actually 2011 when my accountant actually had to tell me, "You're making too much money," and I thought he was kidding. I was like, "What? What do you mean I'm making too much money?" Because I was still working a full-time job, and even then, I was maybe just hitting $11, just hitting maybe $11, $12. And I'm like, what? And what I would do is, like, I would take my royalties and literally pack them away for rainy days, because I was like, okay, I started the journey to make sure I had a supplemental income for my family, and then anything extra I pack it away. I was just packing money like it wasn't funny. And he's like, "Yeah, you made too much money this year. I can't even do deductions." He's like, "You're gonna have to owe money." And I was like, "What? Are you serious? Who makes too much money off of selling books?" So, and that was like 2 years prior to the Kindle coming out, which was Christmas every year for authors. If you weren't on that wave, Man, you do trust me. That's what bought my house, like bought my brand new house, because that was fun. But like it was coming in and I was packing it. So it was kind of like, are you serious? I can literally make money off of this. And by then I had maybe 20 books at that point. And that 2011, I had literally wrote 11, no, it was like, yeah, I wrote 9 books that year, and I was coming out with 2 more at the beginning of 2012. So it was, I had like I've been a writing fool. So it was so cool to know that I could step away and be self-sufficient. It's a powerful thing when like, I mean, even like when I look at my house, I'm like, I bought that from writing. Like that's a nice thing. Like you just look at it like, oh my God, I can do this because I write, or I can buy this because I write. I mean, to know that you have the power inside of you to make that much money is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been like that for years now. Like I just been like, yeah, just keep pumping it out. Shortly after that, I did have a fire, and we literally lost everything. We lost like the fire to in 8 minutes. We lost literally everything except the clothes on our backs.
Ugh.
But then I knew I wasn't scared to know that I could do this again. I could literally make money to build up my family up again. And that gave me the confidence to not be scared about, okay, we lost everything. Oh, we can get it all back. And
Mm.
we are gonna get it. And that's what happened. Like, we literally got it all back. I
You
just
have an
kept
incredible
writing. So
story.
and it's
uh,
all been because I write. And I have to say that. I just kept my eye on the prize. You just literally say, okay, I finished one book, let's go to the next. I finished one book, let's go to the next. And that's what I just literally did.
I love that. Yeah. Your energy and your spirit, I think, like it's yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Um, so I think there was a couple important things that you said there. So you started putting down pen to paper to finish a novel in
Hmm.
Y2K. And in 2011, you hit that point where you're like, this could be my full-time job. So that's an
Hmm.
11-year span and 20 books, I think you said. And I think that's important because I think a lot of new authors, they hear all these stories of like, guy writes his first book and becomes a billionaire, and that just doesn't happen, right?
All
And the
right.
other thing is, I think, and I see this a lot, and it frustrates me, is you see authors like Audrey Carlin, and you're on Vella, and you're doing amazing, and people will say like, oh, well, they brought readers in. Well, yeah, but they were us 20 years
Right.
ago, and they worked hard for 20 years to do
Right.
that, and that only helps us because it brings credibility to the platform.
It
Um,
does. Yeah.
and I think that there's a lot of people who aren't eager for the for the hard journey that it is, and it takes a long time. You were sitting at tables, you were introducing yourself to people, and you built your fan base from the bottom, and I think that's incredible, and it's really awesome to hear. Do you have any uh, tips and tricks that you can share about like what you did to really build that reader base, or was it just pumping out words?
It was it was basically, yes, continue to write. Keep that momentum of continuing to write, and finding in the ways of finding readers is going out there and just asking the questions. What are you guys reading now? What do you guys like to read? Finding those questions. I think we get so caught up in, okay, our book is the best book and everybody wants to read it. No, it is not. You really have to go out and niche-size yourself in terms of finding that person who wakes up on a Saturday morning, is going to go to the baseball game, sit on the sidelines and trying to read something. That's the person I want to get, because she's got 8 hours of her time to sit there and click through my Amazon catalog. I want the ones who, at the end of the year, get a whole bunch of gift cards, and who literally have nothing else to do but have like, $2 left. Don't throw that gift card away. I got 2.99 cent novels that you could download at this point. So I'm looking for those niche-sized people, literally, who are out and about. Yeah, you can say, oh, well, how's 99 cents going to buy me a house? Trust me. Trust me. There are a lot of people out there who get up on a Saturday morning. They are not going to bookstores. They are not going to reading events and poetry events. They're not going to literary events at all. They're going to hang out with their kids and they need to be entertained. They're going to be sitting in cars for several hours. They're going to get their hair done. Literally, for a Black woman to get braids in her hair, she has to sit there for at least a minimum of 6 hours. I'm going after her, you know? So you do have to go and find those readers. And I think that's where we get lost in. We think we have that field of dreams attitude. If you write a book, they'll come. No, they won't. They don't come
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because you hit the end. And then all
Right.
of a sudden, somebody is, hey, I heard you wrote a book. That doesn't happen. So we do have to do those put our feet to the ground and start just looking out, participating in reading groups, participating in where your reader is going to be, and then be like the pied piper, and just leave breadcrumbs all around for them to come back and find you.
No, that's really good advice, especially when you're on sites like Instagram where you're not allowed to put a link in the,
Right.
to give them that real easy. And I have a landing page for my Vella on my website, like you said, and
Hmm.
I don't use it enough. I just say like I got a
You
link.
want them to come back. Yes, we want Jeff Bezos to make his money, but we want to make money too. And Jeff Bezos don't need any more money. I need my baby daddy to start sending them to me. So I said, if you're not gonna send them to me, then I'm gonna send them to me, and then you can go over to my baby daddy. But at this point, and yes, I call him my baby daddy because he sent his check for my babies on time. Best baby daddy out there at this point. So, but I need that traffic. So getting them to come to me and then go to him is the best thing, because then I get that hit, or I can get that email, or you're on my site and you're like, okay, what else does she have to offer? I know she has a site. So yes, definitely utilize your website. That's your bae. Like, take
Yeah,
care of your bae.
yeah. And the other thing I really love that you said there was when you were talking about the reader that you're going for, and she's at the baseball game, and it's really that you've. I used to be the vice president of a company, and that was what we had to do. We had to visualize our customers and where
Hmm.
they were and how to get to them, and I think you mastered that. You really know exactly who you're looking for and what they got going on in life, and how.
Right.
And I think that's important, and I don't think authors do that enough. I read horror. My ideal audience is a horror reader. Well, no, but what are they doing? How do you get them to you?
Yeah. What are they doing on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I need to know these things, because then on that day I'm promoting, I'm like, okay, after you get off of work, you need to rest. Why don't you rest inside of these sheets and come and read this book? Okay. A Wednesday is hump day. You are stressed. Let me get rid of that stress and give you this book, or like it'll be girlfriend's day. Why don't you just give your friend a free book? Here's a free book, and then you get a book as well. So you got to be thinking of those things, because somebody's going to read that and be like, oh yeah, I do want my girlfriend to read this book because it was so good. And then I'll be like, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Help me help you. Help me.
And I love that too. You also know what you're offering them. Like, oh, you want to relax on Wednesday night? Let me help you with that. You know
Right.
what you're offering them, and I think that's another thing that
I used to have
is
this
crucial.
Twitter that goes out in the middle of the night. It'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning for some reason. And my friend thought it was just the funniest thing, because I'd be like, it's Smexy time. Why don't you read a Smexy book? And I would have a link to Amazon. So I didn't think it was anything about it, but I would start seeing people clicking on that link, and going to buy books. And I'm like, I think that's I think that's working. I'm gonna keep it there. And it's so funny because I still run that one tweet. I think it pops up every 3 weeks. I use social so you can actually pop it up as many times as you want, however you want, however long you want. So every 3 weeks it'll pop up with a picture of other books you can read, and Hey, 1 a.m. in the morning, smexy time. Usually people are on Twitter not doing nothing at all. Why don't you
Mhm.
just read a book?
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So all right, so let's get into Vella a little bit. So
Okay.
sometime last year they announced Vella, and you as an author who you like you said, it's you've bought houses with your writing money. You've written over 50 books. You know what you are, you know what you can do, and you know what you offer your reader. What makes you decide to take a chance on doing something a little different?
Well, I had actually been doing stuff like that from my website. So,
Okay.
when I had like a book I knew I couldn't put on Amazon, that was kind of grayish. I would just write the book as a blog post. Each chapter was a blog post. So I would just chapter it out. And what I would do is like they would get all the way up to maybe the first crap hit the fan moment. And then I had already finished the book up and was in editing. And then I would say, after the crap hits the fan moment, I said, hey, if you guys want this book, just, and I would sell it on Smashwords. So you go to Smashwords, get the link, and then you can buy the whole book. So people would do it. I'd make literally in one day about good $3,000, $5,000 off of a $1 book.
Wow.
I was like, okay. But it was like, and then I got addicted to it because, when you can get that money like bam, bam, bam. And it became mind draining. So I actually had to take a break, but I always wanted to jump back into it because it was so fun, because the readers would read with me. Like they were reading as I was writing, literally. And just trying to figure out because I write suspense romance. So I'm usually having some kind of death element, or there's some mystery you got to figure out, or who's really the villain in all of it. So there's some mystery, and the readers get all involved, and they tell you who they hate, who they love, what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know. And so like I'm like, okay, so I'll participate in the discussion and be like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. I was like, I don't know either. I don't know. Let's see what posts next. I don't know. So they would go and get involved, and I love like they were involved in it and stuff. So I miss that. I miss being able to talk to my readers, being able to, converse with them and have their input. Well, they thought that was their input about the story. So it'd be so much fun. And I was like, I always wanted to get back into it. I was gonna go to sites like Radish and all of that, but when you've been around for 20 years and you see how thin you already stretched out, you see how many sign-ons and passwords you have. Every year I have this huge password file of all the sites that I've ever been on, and it was getting pretty large. And I
Mhm.
was like, I didn't want to stretch myself thin, and I wanted to do that thing. I wanted to have them come back to me. I want you to come back to me in some kind of way. I didn't want you to be over on Wattpad and staying on Wattpad. I wanted you to come back. I needed you
Mhm.
back. So I was like, well, I'm already at Amazon. So when I found out about it, it was actually, what was it? It was actually 2000 and it was actually 2020 when I found out about it. Actually, an agent friend had came to me, and we usually talk and go back and forth about things and industry news and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, Amazon's doing this thing that you used to do. And I was like, really? And then she told me about it, and I was like, oh, that is what I used to do. Did they copy me? She was like, I don't know, but I just thought you should know. And I was like, okay, I'll look out for it. So, yeah, so when it came up, I was like, well, since I'm already on Amazon and there are readers there, let me just go ahead and give it a try and see what happens, see how this goes. I think because I had been doing it already, I kind of had an inside view of, okay, once I got you hooked
Mhm.
and set up a story as a serial, because there is a difference between writing just straight fiction and writing a serial novel to keep the reader turning pages. It's exhausting for authors. It is exhausting. I'm not going to say this is a lot of work, but it pays off because they turn those pages, and that's what I need them to do. I need you to go to the next post. That's all I'm trying to do, is get you to the next post. So I'm going to set the story up in each post. So I kind of had a heads up I kind of already knew or had been practicing on how to write for serials already. So when this opportunity came and I put the first book up, She Works Hard for the Money, I thought for sure, because like I said, I'm used to writing edgy stuff, for serials. It's got to be, as I'm going in the back of my brain in the darkest corner, and I'm pulling something out. It's gonna be a happily ever after, but you ain't gonna like the journey. So I pulled the worst character that I could possibly find, a misogynist. I mean, he was just horrible. He's a horrible person to love. And I was like, okay, we got to find somebody to love him. Let's see what we can do. So it was an interesting thing, the concept that I used. But it was fun for me, because even when you're writing a serial, there's a point in time when you're tired of hyping the audience up to get to the next page. So in terms of that, what I would do is just throw more crap on the fire and see if my characters can figure out how to get out the mess. So that made it exciting for me, because in one term I'm the writer, in another term I'm the character trying to dig myself out. So it's like I'm having this battle in my brain, but it makes it exciting for me as a writer, and I don't lose interest. And then I know if I don't lose interest, the reader is not going to lose interest. They're going to be in there like crying, laughing, dying with me, because I'm like, I'm struggling. Like, how did I get myself in this mess? But yeah, that's what I did. And I thought for sure Amazon was going to pull my stuff. I was like, okay, let's see if Amazon if I make it past the checkers today. And they did it. I'd use cuss words, and I put a cuss word, I put a cuss word in the title. Amazon pushed it on through. I was like, what? What? All right. Let's go. So yeah, that's what I did, and it paid off because people loved the book. I would just watch them. You could see them read past 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and then they 10 more episodes. Just boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh Jesus, this is nice. And that I didn't even know about the bonuses. So when the agent and I were talking, I think at that point they hadn't even discussed the bonuses. I was like, you know what? If it gives me something steady, even if it's just like a little drip, I can get premium gas, I'm good to go. If I can just get premium gas, I'm good. So when the bonus came, I was like, all right, Amazon, you playing? Like, baby daddy, don't be playing with me. When you dole out them checks. So yeah, when the bonuses started hitting, it was like, okay, this is nice. But I haven't been greedy. A lot of people say, well, go and do another one, go and do 2 at the same time. I'm not. I love to give myself into that story at that point. So I'm just like, okay. But it's amazing because now that I finished one and I'm on the second one, I am getting those double book bonuses. But it's like, it's just so much fun. I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is nice. This is cool. It's an unexpected surprise, and it's selling my back catalog. So that's what I'm happy about. Like, hey, I can move my back catalog while I'm writing. That was one of the hard parts when I was doing it by myself, is that I would still have to be the promoter. I would still have to go out there, but now I can move my back catalog and still be able to write. So
yeah. So you were able to get new readers from the Vella platform, and then your other stuff. Did you find that there was a challenge in bringing your already established readers to this new platform?
Actually, no, since they were used to it. So I'd already trained them how to read episodic novels. And I think that's what a lot of the writers are having trouble with, is that especially old writers, if you've not done serials before and then you're trying to bring your readers over to serial reading, that's where you can get lost with, because that's a whole new genre. Even though you're sticking with, I'm still doing romance, the majority of readers are going to be like, no, I need to know when you finish.
Yeah.
And then I'll jump on it, because that's a different type of reading experience. I had already started training my readers to, okay, sometimes you're going to get a full book, sometimes you're going to get serial. So, hey, whatever I put out, you're going to get a good story. So that was like I said, I kind of had a heads up on it. Because I was putting it over there
Yeah.
already, they kind of jumped in and like, okay, Sylvia, we know we got you. And there's still some that, say, hey, just let me know when you're finished, and they'll stay tuned to my blog. A lot of times I'm doing author updates, over there, like, okay, this is what's going on with the book. This is what the readers are saying, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes what they say, the other people will be like, oh, okay, now I know I need to read it because this
Yeah.
is crazy. So like, yeah, so I've trained them to, like episodic stories already, so it's kind of like, yeah, they can jump on in. And it's cool because I don't know if I told you, like, a lot of them I tell in the author's note, come meet me over on Facebook and let's discuss this chapter. And they literally go over there. I have like 3 readers who literally will post it before I even know it posted. I was like, oh, I guess my episode went live, because I'll see all these pings of me, like, okay, they're tagging me on something. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this episode posted. And they're already like discussing it. Like, seriously, they're like, why is she doing this? Who does this? Can they go find these people? And I'm like, okay. So it's kind of cool that they have already taken the reins in doing that in the Facebook group. And it's really cool because then it generates more readers to go and read the other books. So
Yeah, yeah, and it draws, more interest. That's what I've actually been trying to do that recently, but I'm just starting where I made a post the other day where I had my son on camera saying, "Who's your favorite character from Winter's Myth?" Because if I get just a few people who read the story,
right.
say their favorite is, other people scrolling down are going to be like, "What's this all about?"
Right. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
um, so obviously your experience on Bella has been very successful.
It's
Um,
been good. It's been pretty fun. So yeah, it's enjoyable as a writer.
Do you feel that going forward that you'll probably do more, writing there first and then putting it out onto ebook?
Um, See, it depends on the book, because that's why it's called The Literary World of Sylvia, is because each book has to be placed in a certain kind of element in order for it to for the readers to funnel on into it. So, I always go where my characters want me to go. So I know the next book that I'm going to write, it cannot be a Kindle Vella. It actually has to be, it's the start of a new series, because since I'm killing off one family, I'm starting on a new family. So actually the next book, no, is not going. And I'm actually taking a 2-month break from Kindle Vella. I'll be still pushing my books. But I'll then start preparing for the next Kindle Vella. I know it's another book going to go on there. The one I'm writing now is actually one of it is the biggest book I've ever written. The first book I wrote like this was kind of in its same subtext, but this one is going on, I think we're going on almost 300,000 words. So
Oh, wow.
it's a saga. it's
Yeah.
a it's
Yeah.
a romance saga. So, but it contains so many elements that as you're reading through it, I think in all we have like, I think it's 8 different companionship novels attached to this one book. So that's pretty good because they go in and one of them is a Kindle Unlimited book. So I know when they get to a part in the Kindle Vella, they want to know about what's in the Kindle Unlimited, and they'll go in there and read it. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool. And
And then it's go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. No, continue.
And then it's like 3 other books that's located on Amazon that they can just go and buy. So I know when they get to a point that's that book, that they got to that point in the book. So it's cool that the companionship novels are selling, which leads to other companionship novels, which it's like a Pringles. You can't have just one. You got to keep going on and on. So what was your question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, and we talked about this a little bit before we record on this. That so you're building towards this big war,
Right.
and all of your books sort of tie together, right? Like everything
They
in
all tie
some way.
together in terms of in order to do this war, certain elements have to be in place. So I know I have to have a businessman. I know I have someone who can get somebody in and out the city without somebody knowing. So I knew I had to have all these elements, and it couldn't go just in one book. It was a huge undertaking, and I knew, like, okay, how am I going to introduce these characters where people are going to, like, okay, I'm rooting for this person, or I'm on this side or this side. Um, I knew that I needed all this stuff into place in order to it all make sense. So that's what all these books basically are. They're businessmen, they're lawyers. There's this covert operation going on in Detroit that, I mean, one reader said she went to the address I mentioned, which was in a horrible part of town. And I'm like, why would you go there? She was like, but it was so scary. It was just like you explained in the book. I thought I was going to get killed. I was like, you will get killed. It's Detroit. It's the murder capital. You don't just, oh, I'm just going to go to this address. No, you don't. Needless to say, the second printing took out the address. Like, oh my God. So it's all these different elements that are happening for this huge war of two families. And everyone, if anybody knows my writing, they know it's the Hart family. The Hart family is going to go to war, and there are a lot of people going to die, but from that comes even another family from that. So
Cool.
I'm building. It's a lot. Trust me. You don't want to be in my head at night. So yes,
Uh,
that's how it is.
so we've talked about what you've enjoyed about being on Vella. Is there anything that you wish Vella would do, or that you'd like to see change about the platform?
For right now, I can understand how the platform is kind of, it's at, I think right now this next year is going to determine if it's going to stay or go. Um, and that in that regards, I'm saying it will do. It's That's why I think they give us the bonuses, because they need us. They need us to keep the platform alive, and how we are using the platform, how we are bringing people to the platform. It's really going to determine how, if the platform is going to be profitable really for Amazon. I think they're gonna do a big review at the end of the year and say, okay, what stays and what goes. For things that need to be added at this point, I don't think they should expand any more on reader interaction. If you don't have your offline, you don't want your readers on Amazon. Like you don't want them on there. You do want them on your website. You do want them on your social media. And if you don't know how, it's not Amazon's job to make it so. At this point, I think once they added the polls, I think they should completely stop at that point, because I don't
Hmm.
have time to monitor comments. I don't have time to monitor different people who just don't like my story, just come in and say, oh, I just don't like this kind of setup, and then leave me a 1 star. And I don't have time for that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
monitoring this, and chasing after Amazon to get rid of that review. That's crazy. And when I see authors spending their time on that, when they could be doing something else, like writing another episode that you haven't updated in 20 days,
Yeah.
maybe that's more important. But I think for this platform right now, it's kind of almost perfect. It gives you just enough to get the reader in. It really is up to you to tell a really good story to get them turning those pages and then following you back to where you are. That is the whole point. And this is a learning lesson for authors. If you can master this, you can almost master any type of other platform. You
Right.
know, you could, because this challenges us in terms of, okay, I got to write a good story, but I also have to get readers to come to me and give me what I need. So this is, I think at this point, let's just try to make the best of this platform, give some good stories, and then get our readers.
Yep.
Snatch up our bonuses
Yep.
and then just and go from there. But I think at this point the platform is where it needs to be. It's up, I think it's really going to be up to us. And it was just like when I remember when they started Kindle Unlimited, and a lot of people were saying, oh, this is stupid, why would I do this? And it's so funny because when you've been, I feel like an old woman on the porch just sitting there rocking like, I remember them peoples back then was saying the same thing. So it's kind of like watching this play out over and over again when you've been here for so long. And but I think it's a good, I think this is one of the most promising things, and I'm glad that they sat back and said, okay, let's see what we can do and go from there. So I'm glad they did bring the platform there. I've always thought about that in the past. Like, I wish they would, so I wouldn't have to stretch myself so thin. And that's our whole point, is that we want to write. We don't want to have to keep up with accounts. We don't want
Yeah.
to have to keep up where my money at. I feel like a pimp at the end of the month. Where my
Yeah.
money at? Who I got to slap now? Like, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel that stress. I want to be okay. I want to just be able to push out a book, bring in a reader, push out a book, bring in a reader,
Yep.
And I think just let's just take advantage of this and do our best work out there and then see what we can get. Because if you really sit back and think about it, even though the people who are complaining, oh, well, I didn't have any readers today. That's not Amazon fault.
Right. Yeah.
And this is probably why I don't have friends. I have to kill myself not to say that. That's all I want to come. That's not Amazon fault. Just then what are you doing? And I don't even want to ask what they're doing, because obviously you didn't do nothing.
Right.
Because I have sometimes gone out and just did digital flyer drops in readers groups. And then my reach just shoot through the next day.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me you didn't get any readers, and I just did digital flyer drops. I don't even know these people. I don't even know if they like romance. I just did digital flyer drops literally with my assistant, and then I got exponentially amount of readers the next day. So you're going to tell me if you're not putting out a good story, then of course it doesn't work.
Right.
So put out a good story, do the marketing, get the readers, and get them back to your website or get them back to your Facebook group or wherever you are, so you can get those email addresses. And then if this does fall off the ledge or it disappears, you can literally say, I got my readers. So I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah. And you got more words down.
You got more words down. You can add it to your catalog and keep it going, because it's not like you can't take this off the platform and make it into a book.
Right. Yeah.
So it's so many opportunities that maybe we should just, okay, let's focus on the opportunity. This is a new opportunity, so focus on all the new opportunities before we just start looking at the negative stuff. And that's how I am. I mean, people will come in and say, oh, Sylvia, well, you're just saying that because you're up on the top such and such. I work hard.
Right.
and I mean, I don't even feel fulfilled because I want front page. I am determined to get front page.
I know.
At least as close as possible. Right. So it's just like, okay, yeah, I am up there, but it's called work. And it's not like asking my friends and family. And I do tell authors, stop asking your friends and family to go there. It's not about that. It's about getting readers, momentum into your site. And then this gives you practice for when you come out with a real book. And you really have to push for readers, and you really have to get them to buy stuff. This is all practice. So take it as is.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I'm sorry, I was on my pedestal again, wasn't I?
No,
I
think you're throwing out gold right now. So I'm just letting you say it, because I think it's stuff people need to hear a lot. And I've said that on the show a little bit too, where I said Amazon Vella offers authors something that a lot of platforms don't right now, which is increased visibility, because there's you go on KU and there's a billion authors on there. So it does offer that, but it's also not magic, and it's not just going to make you make readers say, "Oh, I want to read this
You
guy's
saw
story."
my look because
Yeah.
I want to say something, but but yes, that's definitely. I think every author should at least try it once, because this gives you a lot of learning skills in terms of writing a good story, putting the pieces in place that needs to go into a story. I mean, you're learning so much about it. Even though I know how to do it by heart, like I can do this in my sleep now because I've done it so many times. But it gives you that ability to want to write every day, because that's what we're always lacking. Like, oh, I didn't get any work done. When you're in this game of trying to stay on top and trying to get those readers, you are going to want to write. You're like, every day is thinking about it. I'm supposed to be doing taxes, and I'm like, oh, I got to the 15th for Uncle Sam, but my reader need me tomorrow. So you're like, you're in that quandary, but it helps because you need that perseverance, and you need that ritual to always want to write. And then in terms of just publishing it out, that's my bane, is that 72-hour window, especially now. We're like at the beginning of the month, when that beginning of the month quandary starts and everything resets. What I
Hmm.
learned is, if you wait 5 days, don't make any complaints, wait 5 days, everything goes back to normal. I learned that from doing
Okay.
it 4 times in a row. Wait 5, because then I'll watch the boards, and then it'll be like, bam, 5 days, everything then goes back to normal. So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I figured that one out. But then, like, then you got, yeah, so then you learn about publishing. Do you want to publish? You want to schedule your published, or do you want to but they are good about it. If you make a mistake, because I did make a mistake and did it on a scheduled post, and it was like
Hmm.
4 days you got to wait. And
Hmm.
I actually emailed them, and I was like, oh, my readers can't wait for 4 days. You got to release it now. They actually in an hour released it. So
Oh.
I really can't complain about that, you know.
Hmm.
I was like, oh no, I'm gonna lose readers. We can't. But then I like it that I've brought readers to my uh Facebook group. So like, I had to go to the hospital for a procedure, and I was down for like 4 days. And I may have posted one time, but they were so understanding. They were like, girl, we gonna wait. And it was so nice to know. They were like, girl, we holding off our faves because
Yeah.
we waiting for the net. And I was like, you're right, the faves. Like, that is so nice. We're gonna just give you faves just because. So that was kind of cool to be able to talk to my audience again. And that's what I had been looking for.
Hmm.
Like I said, that's what I missed about it, is being able to just talk to, as I read, as I write, they literally are reading as I write, and they find the experience just wonderful. A couple of them have joined me on like a podcast or Clubhouse when I'll go and interview on there, and they're like excited that they can literally talk to me, which I find weird.
Yeah.
But one girl, she said, you know what? I've been reading for over 25 years. And she said, nothing, this has been the best experience of my life, is to be able to talk to the author like as she's actually putting the book out. I've never had that experience before. She says, you have a fan for life. She's like, I don't care what you put out. I don't care how bad it is. It can be good, bad. I don't care. She's like, you have given me so much joy to be able to be like in the experience, like in your head as you're
Mm.
writing. So I was like, oh, you're not in my head, but okay. If you say, I already know where the story is going, but okay, if you think so,
That's awesome.
let's
That's
go with that. So that's pretty cool.
all right. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for today. But before I let you go, give me some stuff to that you want to pitch to anyone watching.
Um, I will be coming out. Actually, I will be coming out with one of my Kindle Vellas. I'm actually going to publish it as a paperback in May. I've given it enough time to roll it around. So I am pushing that out. So if you are following and you just are waiting for the full book to come, hey, that's all yours in May. And I will be out in Florida actually next month at the, what is it, the interracial Association Authors Expo, Interracial Authors Expo. I'll be down in Florida at the end of the month in April. So I'm pretty excited about that. And of course, you can always come to my website, find all my books, connect with me on social media, and come and enjoy and talk to me. I don't care what you ask. I'll answer your question. I just won't tell you where the story going. So don't ask me. So yes, I'm very approachable. I will be honest with you. If I don't know it, I don't know it. If I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you. But yeah, I'm very approachable, and I don't mind. And that's for writers and for authors and for readers. I don't mind. I don't mind sharing knowledge, telling people about what's to come, and any procedures that I do. So definitely, I will tell writers, keep the reader in mind. Always have your focus on the reader when you're doing this, especially for Kindle Vella. If you really want the audience, keep the reader in mind. That's the secret to the sauce. So definitely.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here. I loved this interview. I learned so much from it myself. And I'm excited for your journey now. Like, I mean, I'm late to the game. You've been doing this for a long time, but I'm following. You're an amazing
You're a
person.
quick learner, so that's good. So yeah, you just roll with the punch. If you can roll with the punches, especially for a new platform, then you're good to go. So all the other ones, yeah, go ahead and complain. Do that. But you're wasting time and you're missing out on the readers who can see that. So yeah, let's just go and have fun. And because that's what we're doing, is that we're doing what we love to do. So just enjoy it.
Exactly. Yep. That's a good way to end it. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and make sure you go to her website. I'm going to have links in the description to everything she does, her website, her Kindle Vella stories, everything. So make sure you check all that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.